And we're live. Okay, good deal, guys. I've got my business partner back here. This is Buckaroo. He is an Anatolian Shepherd, and he's a biggin, as you can see. How you doing? So we're back over here. You know, still at the property over here in Montana. Everything is for us. Everything's going really, really well. I don't think it's going that well for most of America, but you know, we tell people to prepare and we do everything that we tell other people to do as far as your finances are concerned and as far as your preparations are concerned. But I want to talk about something uh, real quick that is, I think, going to be very pertinent in in the economy here going forward. Now, we could talk about gold standard. We could talk about where our money's going. We could talk about, different things as far as financials are concerned. But what I want to talk about is post-COVID permaculture and the importance of sustainable agriculture in a post-COVID-19 environment. And what I think here is that we're going to see, and the reason I'm bringing this up because I really do want your opinion. So you can go ahead and type in the chat any opinions you have on this. Hurt my feelings if you want to. Say, Jeff, you're full of shit, or you can say, Jeff, I really agree with you. I think it's a great point. Or just whatever you think. Just go ahead and type it in there. But I think today we're seeing a resurgence of people that care about where their food comes from. And not that people haven't been on this trend of caring, but now they're starting to see what it looks like whenever grocery stores start to run out of stuff, and starts to see what it looks like whenever, well, the USDA just made us kill a bunch of cattle, and well, now they're making us till under all of our vegetable crops and all this stuff, but we have to import these same crops from overseas, which doesn't make any sense at all. So now we're looking at farmers and ranchers here in the United States that are having to kill cattle so we can import beef from Namibia, if that makes any sense at all, which it obviously doesn't. And they're having to euthanize cattle, which is insane. So we have, I think, a lot of people that are looking at um, at moving to a more traditional off-grid lifestyle where they can where they can be responsible for where their own food comes from, where they can be, like us, where we've got freezers full of meat, we've got a greenhouse, we've got uh, plenty of land that we can we got, like you see here behind me, it's a wood burning stove back here, right? So this is my office, but it's a this is a log cabin that I live in. The other side is a more updated version of a home, but this is an older log cabin that this office is in right now. So we're wood burning stove. That means that I've got food and I've got fuel outside and all these things that are pertinent to, do I have to leave my house, that are pertinent to, what do I have to do to make sure that my lifestyle and my family are going to be okay and that we're going to be sustained, right? Does that mean solar panels being off grid and all that stuff? I don't know. Whatever that means for you. But what do you think? And I'm curious to know. And if you're not on the live stream, you just go ahead and leave it down in the comments. But I'm curious to know, what do you think is going to be happening here in the future, and what level does and what purpose does permaculture serve and sustainable agriculture serve in the near future for common Americans? As a is there going to be this surge of people that are looking to live a more rural lifestyle to get out of urban areas? That could be a potential. We have a lot more freedoms out here where we are than where most people are, um, out here in the mountains of Montana, right? So what do you think it is? And if you're on here right now, you can type it in the comments, type it in the chat what you think is going to be happening here in the near future. And here's why I ask, because I am in finance. Okay, most people either know that or understand it or don't like it or don't understand it. But it is what it is. I'm able to work from home. Always have been able to work from home. I enjoy working from home, and I think everybody should do it if they educate themselves to do it. But whether you feel like doing that, it's completely up to you. We want to put together a certain amount of capital and start using our systems to reverse desertification and our expertise to buy large pieces of ground and subdivide them into into plots that will give people that ability to move right in and have sustainable agriculture immediately, and to do that. And this is not a new concept, but I don't see anybody working on it because most permaculture people are, utterly pikers. They don't care about money, they don't want to know about money, but it takes money to make this whole world go round. And what I want to do is look at this and say, hey man, we have an opportunity here to reverse the certification and feed a shit ton of people at the same time, while providing a service to people that want to live a more rural lifestyle, be able to do that with farm systems already set up. So if you're just coming on right now, go ahead and let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about subdividing out pieces of property that are already permacultured and where people can move on to them and live fairly inexpensively. We're actually thinking about doing entire permaculture communities of tiny homes or whatever the case is, whatever the market wants, right? But be able to have whole communities living sustainably, you know, dozens, if not hundreds of homes in over, 1,000 or 2 acres, that are living sustainably, and producing their own food and having their own inner markets and barter systems or whatever. And I'm not talking about a commune. I'm talking about just people that want to live outside of town and be able to have this go on. So, what do you think about that? Please, if you're here right now, just go ahead and leave something in the comments and let me know what you think about the that concept. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be very beneficial. I think that there's a huge opportunity for this right now, to be able to do that, be able to help people live more sustainably and get outside of cities. You know, people in cities right now are struggling big time. You know, uh, let me ask you this: where are you at? Where do you live right now? Let's see. Let's see. I love this idea. I actually have a dream to create an aircrete dome homes with organic food forests, as well as community jalapenos or underground greenhouses, as a safety measure for sustainability. See, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, that's fantastic. I don't know how to pronounce your name. It's Twilight Mist. All right, Twilight Mist. So it's a it's that's exactly what I'm talking about. In Southern California, cool, cool. So we're out here in the mountains of Montana. You're in Southern California. You basically have a year-round ability to create food, whereas a jalapeno would work really well up here. And it's funny you say that because we're we have plans to put a jalapeno on our property. Um, we have a sizable chunk of ground up here in the mountains of Montana, and that's exactly what we want to do is put a jalapeno in, so we could just have food coming in year round. Um, and I think that there's a great need for that. What do you think, Twilight Mist? Is this something that I know in Southern California you probably see a larger amount of people wanting to do this, but is that something that you've researched in your area and see that yeah, a lot of people would like to live in an aircrete dome, surrounded by food forests? I think over here in Montana it would be, um, I think outside of any major city, really, you're going to have an element that is going to appreciate that more, and whether it's outside of Denver or in Southern California, whatever the case is. I think you can have people, if especially if they can work from home, especially if they can work from there. Because I tell you what, being able to work from this property, being able to see the deer walking right here outside, and to watch my chickens run, and watch my beehives buzz and all this stuff. I can be having a rough day, and then I can just go walk in the woods and be completely cool and come back. I'm not talking about 10, 15 minutes and be completely cool and come back. And I think that being able to walk out and smell the flowers and be in your garden and to watch your things grow and to see the fungal networks improve the plant life. I mean, whatever it is for you, it's a release. So I think that it's really important to be able to reconnect with nature. And if you have a skill set that allows you to be able to work from home like we can, then I think it's a great thing. I think aircrete domes are a really really cool idea as well. That definitely lasts a long time for sure. Aircrete, hempcrete, being fire resistant, as well as really really well insulated. Kind of cool in the summer and warm in the winter, kind of deal. I love it. I love that idea. Is there anybody else that would care to share as far as what you think is, if you are just coming on here, the idea that we're talking about is buying up large tracts of land, which we have the opportunity to do, and subdivide it into 5 acre, 10 acre plots, and that are already permacultured, already leveled out, already done, so they can, uh, so people can live a more sustainable lifestyle and just kind of move right into it. What do you think about that? Is tiny homes or whatever the case may be. We can have even large community food forests, or even put micro food forests on on the land itself. I think that's I think small food forests. I mean, 1 acre is not that small of a food forest. But on 10 acres, you could do that quite easily. So, what do you think? Really open to anybody that wants to chime in here. I wish we could do this on Zoom. I wish we could have like a more of an interaction. Would you like to do that? If anybody would like to do that, let me know, because that's something I'd be interested in. Being able to have a real conversation around this. Well, anyway, guys, that's the plan. That's the idea. I think that being out here and being responsible for your loved ones and being able to provide for them in the way that they need to be provided for, there's something to be said about that. Every single one of us here has our right to liberty, and right now they're trying to take that away from us. Okay. A mask isn't going to save you. Washing your hands is probably better than a mask. But you're being mind controlled right now, and the bottom line is that it's so much easier. Um, it's so much easier to be where you're safe than try to have the government protect you, right? And that comes with being able to live sustainably in a rural environment. Twilight Mist says, my problem is I don't know how to actually get started to be able to do such a thing financially. Well, and that's true. Twilight Mist is that most people in the permaculture industry, if they jump on this channel and I say anything about finance, they're out. So it's like they don't want to hear it, like as if they're above finance. You see, permaculture people believe that they don't need finances until they want to buy a piece of land, and then they hate the process, and don't want to hear anything about financial well-being. But life doesn't work that way. So as far as be able to how to do something to actually get started financially, it's it, these are educational steps. So we talk about in Smart Wealth, my other channel. It's a It's not something that should escape anybody. This is a fairly simple concept. You buy a piece of land and you upgrade it to where it's more valuable, and then you can subdivide it and sell it off. Um, uh, if you have that skill set, then what your steps are is to get people around you that have skill sets that don't match yours. Get people around you that have skill sets that feed yours, and from a financial perspective, from a legal perspective, from a development perspective, from whatever you want to do. So you get a couple of industry experts around you. You get you can do this on LinkedIn. You get an accomplished CPA, you get an accomplished attorney, bring them all on the board of directors, and then you start pitching banks. And it's and from there, you go to start pitching banks on this, and tell them your process. That way, your board of directors outshines you. Okay, because you're looking at yourself right now, saying, "Well, n- nobody knows who I am. They're not going to lend me any money. Yada yada yada." Well, that's not exactly true. They will lend the company money if the board of directors that you put on outshines you. You see, so if you start a company like this and you own more than 60% of it, you're doing it the wrong way. You want to give equity in the company to the board. You see, and so eh, then you just bring people on board like that. Then you start talking to banks the right way, and we know how to do that. But I mean, most people, you're right, most people don't know how to get started to do that financially, and also at the same time they're unwilling to educate themselves on it. So is if you're not willing to educate yourself on it, and to get out of your comfort zone to get into that education, then it's just never going to happen. And if you're not willing to take risks, then it's never going to happen. If you're not willing to do things that are necessary to create a larger income, then it's never going to happen. But when we talk about permaculture, it's called the Smart Wealth Channel. I actually wrote a book called Smart Wealth Secrets They Don't Want You to Know. It's available on Amazon as well. Um, but what we're talking about here is the ability to not only create something of value, but to help other people with it. I mean, I want you to think about this for a second. How much food can you produce if you have an acre that has 30 apple trees on it, 14 cherry trees, plums and whatever else. Okay, all mixed in and all food forested up, and you just got a ton of food growing all over the place. Forest gardens. I mean, you've got gardens, you've got market gardens, and everything else. You put stuff in there like leeks and onions and garlic and stuff that you don't even have to mess with. Beehives. How much food are you creating on one 10-acre spot? a, a ton, a ton of food. You can leave chickens to run through there and hogs to run through there, and not saying that it's going to be zero maintenance, but it's going to be low maintenance, and you can create a ton of food for people that don't have it. Here's what my uncle used to do. He had 20 acres with 500 orange trees on them. Okay, he had an orchard. And he didn't care about being in the orange tree business. He didn't want to be in the orange tree business. He liked the house that was on it and the 3-acre bass pond. But what he would do was have the local sheriff, he'd call the sheriff up, to say, "Sheriff, go ahead and send some prisoners over here to pick all of these oranges." And he donated the oranges to the state. Okay, to the parish, because it was Louisiana. They don't have counties, they have parishes there. So he donated the oranges to Jefferson Parish, and and to the prison system and the schools and everything else. Okay, now think about, that's just one guy with 20 acres. That same thing could be done. Get these prisoners out of jail for a little while. They come and pick the fruit and stuff like that. That's excess that you don't need for your jams or whatever else you want to save it for. They go and pick the fruit, and then they give it to the homeless. I mean, there's a lot we can do that isn't being done because most people are not thinking about it in that way. The earth gives us everything that we need and everything that everybody else needs. You don't need 10 acres, okay, to grow food on. Just for you and your family. The excess of it is going to be something that you're serving that you're giving back with and serving humanity with, and if you want to turn that into a market garden where you sell stuff on the side of the road or have a CSA, whatever the case is, it's up to you. But the the end goal here is to become sustainable, is to be in an area and live in an environment to where if the grocery store shuts down, you're not that concerned about it. You don't have to go, um, you know, these people stocking up on toilet paper, absolutely absurd. I mean, who actually uses toilet paper anymore anyway? I mean, if it were up to me, everybody would be using baby wipes. I mean, you're dirty if you use toilet paper. But the thing is that stocking up on the things that you need, stocking up on the stuff that you're not going to be able to get every day, and then other than that, especially in Southern California, twilight mist, um, you're going to be able to grow whatever else you need, and other people are seeing this, and people that have money are being able to see this as well. So imagine this, that you find a 100-acre piece of ground, and it's out let's say it costs you $1,000 an acre to get it, so it's $100,000, and it's not in the best area, kind of deserty or whatever the case is, but so it costs you $1,000 an acre, and you subdivide that into 10-acre lots, so you got 10-acre lots, and you fix them up, um, and where they'll hold water and the soil will hold water, and it might even take some heavy machinery to do this, etc. But instead of it costing $1,000 an acre when you're finished, since it's the only ground in miles that actually holds water, and everything is green while everything else around it's brown because you're in Southern California, that's just the way things go. If you look at it from that perspective and you're actually able to put organic material in the soil and you're actually able to make the property drought proof, what are you going to be able to charge per acre now? Okay. Now remember, this isn't a charity. Um, it's uh, it's an environment where people that have money, that want a to live this lifestyle, they wouldn't mind paying $100,000 for 10 acres of that. You see, so now instead of $1,000 an acre, you've 10x your money, and you have $1 million property instead of $100,000 property. You've only sold 10 lots. See, it says, Toilet Mist says, true, toilets should all be composting toilets with a urine diverter, and the water toilet should be a bidet. Human manure system should be on property to create a wealth of healthy soil and compost. Yeah, I can see that logic. I can see the logic of the composting toilets and the urine diverters and all that stuff. I think that from a marketability standpoint, people aren't going to want to deal with that. But it's not outside of the realm of possibilities, depending on the community that you're organizing. Um, there are some permaculture communities out there that would do that focus on those types of things. I'd say that, I know that Jeff Lawton, his Atuna farm focuses on that as well, and they utilize that system. It's a fine system. I mean, they don't put it on the vegetables, they just put it on the fruit trees. Um, yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so she said you inoculate the human manure with mycelium spores. Nature does all the work to clean it up, and that's true. That's true. It's just that for people to come in and make this a viable project. This is not going it, telling them that they're not going to have a toilet um, to use. That's not a septic tank. That's not run on septic is going to be a hard sell for a lot of people, even permaculturists. So it's but yeah. I mean, it's a completely and a bidet. I've never had the pleasure of using a bidet, but I guess that could work. That could work as well. But yeah. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about the amount of we're talking about being able to upgrade a property and get what it's worth, and taking the excess from there, and having a completely permaculture community. Taking the excess from there, and selling it or giving it away or whatever the case is. Um, giving it to the communities and stuff like that. Not to mention, you actually do get a tax credit for that. You get a tax credit. So when you give fruits and vegetables away from your property, when you give it to the state, um, or to the county or to the parish, it is a tax credit. So my uncle used to donate his oranges, and they gave him $140,000 tax credit, and it was in the newspaper as the largest donation ever to Jefferson Parish. Um, and so he got in the newspaper and everything else just because he didn't feel like picking his oranges, and he wanted to donate them, and he did need that tax credit actually, because he made a lot of money, and so the tax credit was something that was very useful for him. But it works like that for everyone, you see. So if you have food forests and create a level of sustainability for other people, and then allow them to move on to that property, even Airbnb. I mean, think about that. Airbnb would be a completely fantastic deal for these types of properties. People would, with the right property, of course, give each individual cabin privacy and everything else. I mean, it's a heck of a deal, and you wouldn't need 10 acres per property, for the Airbnb. You just need, 3 or 5. It's it could be a cool thing. It could be a cool thing. It'd be a little vacation getaway, and people it could be very profitable. Be very profitable, and you could live on the property. You can live on the property, maintain it, and take care of it, and everything else. I mean, these things are viable projects. They're viable for people to do. They will get funded. You just have to know the people that will pull the trigger on funding these things. And in order to do that, you don't do it by yourself. If you're just coming on, we're talking about post-COVID uh, sustainable agriculture and permaculture, and whether or not it's viable to take a large piece of land, subdivide it up on a bunch of different permaculture properties. And I think that is a very viable thing. If you just come on here to let us know what you think about that. It's a where we can upgrade the land and make the land hold water and make it nice and pretty and beautiful, and flowers and green on it when the property adjacent to it is going to be brown. It's a pretty it's a pretty good thing to do, and I think it would be very profitable. Not only is it profitable, but we can reverse the certification, and we can take the excess food and feed the homeless with it. So that's just another thing that's out there, and that is possible for us to do it, and it is a solution. You know, that's how we feed everybody. That's how we make sure that people aren't hungry. That people aren't sitting there going hungry at night, needlessly, because somebody would rather have a lawn than um, than I see these big properties that, where I'm from in the South, and they've got 3 acres of just grass, which is why, I mean, it looks pretty, I mean, 3 acres in the front, a front yard from the road, of just manicured grass, and it's just such a waste. Yeah. Twilight Mist says it could be a seasonal training method two, train people from many different regions with skills to live sustainably in their own land or region, like a working vacay. Yeah, yeah, you could do that. I mean, the possibilities are really endless as as and I know that's the thing that permaculturists love to do, right? Is they want to start their permaculture business, and then all of a sudden they have to start training people, and it's like the only way that they make money. And that is one way to make money in permaculture, but land development seems to me to be the best way to make money in permaculture, and to really have the largest impact. I mean, think about it. You have 10 people that show up to your course, or 30 people, or whatever the case is. How many lands from there are actually going to be permaculture? Probably not that many. And you're probably looking at less than 30% of people want the knowledge, they want the basic understanding of soil science or whatever, but how many lands are actually going to be done? And a lot of times it's very cost prohibitive to for people to do that. So when you do it a lot across large swaths of land, and then subdivide those pieces of ground up into different plots, well, then it becomes a much easier thing to accomplish. So, so to me, 10xing your money on from the purchase price on property is a great way to go, especially as far if you're looking at the broader impact of such a thing. So, is there anybody else that has any thoughts on this? Anybody else that has any curiosities or struggles with maybe the financial side? Most people don't know this on this channel, but I do finance, and that's how we make a living from here. Because I can have Zoom meetings, and I've been doing this for several years now, being able to have Zoom meetings and help people with their retirement and things of that nature. So I think it's also important to have a skill that you can, if you're not going to subdivide 20 or 30 properties, or 50 or 100 properties, and run Airbnbs and selling lots and rentals and stuff like that. If you're not going to do that, and you want to live in your zone, and you can still have your garden and everything else, but you need to be able to make a living online. You need to be able to make a living from your computer, and that's what most people. It seems like in the permaculture industry, most people want to just live their hippie dreams out in Costa Rica, eating avocados and mangoes, running around barefoot and watching monkeys play. Um, and and I know this because I tried to get people funding for such things. And what I found is that I thought at first that permaculture would be a great area to exploit, and I mean that in the nicest way, as far as getting people to get financing through our business to so they can actually live their dreams of being, owning, 10 or 20 acres in Costa Rica, and having a little house out there, and just uh, and living on their property. What I find is that most people are just not willing even to take the most basic of steps to, because if you got shitty credit and you don't have any income, it's gonna be a process for you to get there, but we can help people get there. And and most people are just not willing to take the most basic of steps toward that end. And I know that because I see people are like, our viewer count right now is going up and down. People are coming on, they're like, oh shit, he's talking about money, I'm out. You see? And in that type of mindset is going to ruin you every single time. It's going to ruin you every single time. You're not going to have what you want if you can't have a basic conversation around financial. So being able to make that money, I've got I've got guys in Costa Rica right now. I've got guys in the Dominican Republic. I've got guys in overseas. Okay, so I've got guys in Europe and London that do what we're doing with finance, and they make a living on U.S. hours. We've got guys in the Philippines that are making thousands of dollars per month, working US hours, but they're living cheap in the Philippines, right? But they can work from their computer. And it's not like I'm stuck behind the desk all day either. It's when I get sick of doing this, when I get sick of being here, I'm out. I'm walking through the woods. So that's the option. That's the benefit. And if you want that lifestyle, if you want the ability to live in these areas, or to get that kind of money that it's going to take to make these dreams come true, then it's going to take you having a really honest conversation with yourself and saying, okay, I'm this old. What do I need to do now? I've hit this mark. Where's my next deal? You know, um, i- uh, Instead of being mad at the system, use the system to your advantage. That's what we did. I mean, instead of being mad at, oh, well, it shouldn't be this way. Well, you know what? Tough shit. It is this way. Saying that, well, I'm not going to be a part of the system. Well, then you're not going to be a part of the system. If you're, but if you want to get what you want, you have to work within the confines that are created. And nobody's going to wish it for you. Nobody's going to give it to you. Santa Claus isn't going to drop it down your chimney. It has to be done according to the system that's out there. And if that's not a good fit for you, then that's okay. But it needs to be done according to how the things are set up. And if you don't know what those are, well, that's okay. There's books for that. Okay. I mean, Google is your friend. How do you get funding? How do you start off doing these things? How do you have to change your conversation with money, you see? And you can be in both worlds. You can, as one of my Native American friends like to say, you can walk both rivers. Okay. He says that because he's a Christian man, but at the same time, he also holds to the belief of his native Sioux, or his native Lakota. So he holds to the Lakota belief system, but at the same time, he is a devout Christian. So he says that he walks both rivers. And if you think that there's a disparity between capitalism and permaculture, I'd have to disagree with you, because there's a way to do both, and you can actually maximize your permaculture by working with a capitalist mindset, you know. And so if I want to spread permaculture, what am I going to do? Sit there and bitch about money and sit there and tell people, oh, well, it shouldn't be this way. Everybody should be giving and live in this fake utopia? No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, good. If I want to spread permaculture, how am I going to buy the biggest piece of ground that I can, subdivide it, and permaculture everybody's shit, and then 10x my money on these other people that want to take advantage of what I've improved? It's all about value creation. Your income is going to be in permaculture is going to be directly related to how much value you create in the market. There's no value in the market by holding classes. Okay, you can learn everything you need to know about permaculture by watching Jeff Lawton videos on YouTube. Um, you can you can learn so much for free these days that there's almost no value in things that aren't financial. So when we when we talk about creating value in the marketplace, it's to create and deliver the value. So if I get $1,000 piece of ground, or $1,000 per acre, and I do things to that piece of property, whether it's in West Texas or Southern California, a dry area, Wyoming, and I do things to that ground that make it hold water, and that make it hold fungus, and that make it hold plant life for longer periods of time, and grow tap roots, and do all this great stuff. And I rotate cattle on it properly to where it's recreating the bison that were lost, right? And reversing desertification. Now I've created a piece of ground that is worth a lot more. I've increased the value in that property. That is where money comes, because somebody's going to look at that value that you've created and say, I want to own that and I'll pay for it because I didn't take the 2 years that it took to put into it. That worth X to me. You see, he didn't have the knowledge, he didn't have the skill set, and he didn't have the time. So they're going to spend the relative amount of money to you to pay for such things. And if that's taking $1,000 per acre piece of ground and turning it into a $10,000 per acre piece of ground or a $20,000 per acre piece of ground, then that's adding assets to your books. It's adding and it's adding value to your company, and it's adding value to other people. So you get paid for creating that value, even if it's not monetized. You see what I'm saying? So there are people that are willing to pay for that. There seriously are people that are willing to pay for that didn't know they were permaculturists, and you don't have to get them to adopt your utopic mindset of Twilight Mist using a the right kind of composting toilet. Incremental steps are best. Okay. Once that person gets in that house and once they get in that space, then introduce them to the concept of using their own shisa uh, for compost. They probably won't like it. Most people don't, but it's okay because they're taking incremental steps. You see, we'd reuse our egg cartons, because I don't have to go buy egg cartons. I mean, I get eggs from the chickens. I mean, it's incremental steps, right? It's not taking. It's not. Oh, those people are capitalists, so they suck, and we're permaculture, so we're holier than thou. And we all have this great utopia over here, and they're just living for money, and they have boats and shit, and they suck, and we're awesome. No, see, I'm a capitalist, and I create value and give value back to the market in the form of permaculture, whether that's through a design, whether that's or whether it's through buying land, making the land more valuable and selling it. You see? So can we understand and agree here that there is that it takes both sides. You can't be all one way or all the other way and expect to be profitable or to even be able to function. I mean, we have to get over this us versus them mentality. I love the land. Everybody I grew up with, everybody I know is a conservationist. We give money every single year to conservation, but let me tell you something. We are also very conservative minded. We're conservatives, but we still love the land, and we're capitalists, but we're still permaculturists that love people. We love the land. We give back, but that doesn't mean that we're bad people. You see that just because we might support this politician over this one, or we think that we should have smaller government versus larger government. So we have to get over this mindset where we're sitting there and trying to judge somebody because of their past experiences in their life. Whether I think they need to get their head out of their ass or not. But do we judge people and say that, hey, this is who we are, and that's how that person is, and everybody else that doesn't want to live in a commune is an asshole? That's not how this functions. Because I have to you have to have the capitalist side. That money's got to come from somewhere to be able to put into the permaculture side, or else it's not going to go anywhere. And I know this because of years of trying to finance people in permaculture that don't have the balls to move forward. Because they have this mindset that things should be utopic, and then mindset that somebody should give them shit. Okay, I've come across that 1,000 times. Well, I want somebody just to lend me the money and I'll pay them back when I can. No, it's not how things work. Now look, are there people that focus on that stuff and get away with it and do it? Yes, absolutely, they do. Absolutely. But you have to learn that. You have to learn that as well. You have to learn how to get that money. Now, whether you pay it back or not, it's up to you. But but if you want to get the money, people can show you how to get that money. You can get loans if you even if you just have a job and you're making, you know, 40, $50,000 a year, you can get your credit cleaned up and actually get loans to and spend those loans on whatever you want. Whether you pay it back or not is completely up to you. But you can get the money that you want to go and do to as esoteric laws of reciprocity. Yes. Thank you, Twilight Mist. Um, whether you get these loans and there's a capitalist side and then there's a permaculture side, and I feel like there's this gap that needs to be closed. Now, I closed it already. I closed it for me. It's up to you whether or not you want to close it for yourself. So regarding this entire mindset, this entire system, we're looking at does it make sense to buy large pieces of ground post COVID? Is there going to be a larger market opportunity for people to be turned on to permaculture? And does it make sense to buy the land, put it into production, put food forests on it, and then sell the property down the road? Because let me tell you something. What we're looking at from the market research that we've done is that we're looking at, being able to take $1,000 piece of ground, $500 piece of ground per acre, and fix it up our way. Then be able to take it in and literally 10x your money on that piece of ground. And when you 10x your money on that piece of ground, or even 20x your money on that piece of ground, it's going to get more and more valuable as it grows. Okay. So, if it's 2 years old, you might 10x your money. If it's 5 years old, 7 years old, now you've 25 extra money. So you can go from $1,000 an acre, pimp it out, and then now you've got a $25,000 per acre piece of ground because it's already got water on it. It's already food forested. It already has everything that it needs. And there are people, capitalists, that will pay for that ground in that security. There's people every day spending tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars buying bunkers so they can be safe in their homes, right? So they can be safe for the next whatever. And they buy a bunker worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Don't you think that they'd spend that hundreds of thousands of dollars on a rural 10 acres? It's already permaculture that is food secure. I think they would. And they can look, it's up to them. If they want to dig up part of it, they buy the land. They want to dig up part of it and put a bunker in there. It's up to them, but the bottom line here is that we can create value and then sell it, So we've seen a bunch of people come on and off. You haven't seen a whole lot of people commenting. If anybody has any comments, anybody has any questions, go ahead and drop them in there, man. Go ahead and participate. Act like you're here, and just let me know. I'd love to hear any other conflicting opinions or anything else. If anybody has anything, just let me know. We have Twilight Mist has been very active. I appreciate that, Twilight Mist. Sounds like a Twilight Mist sounds like a My Little Pony. Like there's Twilight Sparkle and whatever something else. I mean, I don't know. There's a bunch of them. Celestia, I think, is one. It comes with having little girls, right? So anyway, guys, I don't know if you can see Buck down there. There's Buck. It's an Anatolian Shepherd. Hey, Buckaroo. So, guys, if that's it, if nobody else has anything, I'd like to say have a great weekend. God bless y'all, and hope all is good. This has been fun. I think we should do this more often. I don't have a whole lot of live streams, but this is good stuff, guys. Thanks for the conversation. Bye-bye.